Will the Senate please come to order? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Aquino, Senator Awa, Senator Chang, Senator DeCoit,
Excused.
Senator Dela Cruz, Senator Elefante,
Here.
Senator Favela, Senator Fukunaga, Senator Gabbard, Senator Hashimoto, Senator Ihara,
Excused.
Senator Inoue,
Present.
Senator Kanuha, Senator Keoho Kalole,
Yo.
Senator Kidani, Senator Kim, Senator Lee, Senator McKelvey, Senator Moriwaki,
Present.
Senator Rhodes, Senator Richards,
Here.
Senator San Buenaventura, Senator Shimabukuro, Senator Wakai. Mr. President.
Present.
23 present, 2 excused.
Thank you. The chair has read the journal of the preceding day and approves the same. Are there any introductions this morning? If not, Madam Clerk.
On pages 2 through 17, House Communication numbers 759, 760, and on pages 21 to 24, House Communication numbers 765 to 767, inform the Senate that the House appointed conferees for various bills. And on pages 17 and 18, House Communication number 761 informs the Senate that the House made changes to conferee assignments for various bills. On pages 18 to 20, House Communication numbers 762 to 763 inform the Senate that the House has reconsidered its action in disagreeing to the amendments made by the Senate to various House bills. And on pages 20 and 21, House Communication number 764 informs the Senate that the House has agreed to the amendments made by the Senate to various House bills and that said bills passed final reading in the House.
File.
On pages 25 to 31, Standing Committee Report numbers 3862 to 3880 for one-day notice.
So ordered.
On pages 31 to 41, Advise and Consent.
If there are no objections from the members, we will be taking advice and consent and deferring action on Standing Committee Report number 3834 and GM 639 until Tuesday, April 23rd, so that no one draws any kind of speculative conclusion about the deferral. The individual to be confirmed can be present that day and would like to be present, and that's why the request for the deferral on that particular GM. Second, I know that we have several of the GMs that we are considering present in the gallery. And so under the discussion, you will be welcome to identify any of those in the discussion, or if you choose, when we are concluded on the vote, to do a late introduction. After a late introduction of all of the GMs who are present, I will ask, are there any other late introductions? Because I know we have had some people come into the gallery after we concluded the initial request for introductions. With that, Madam Clerk.
Standing Committee Report numbers 3829 to 3833 and 3835 to 3859 on Governor's messages for adoption.
Is there any discussion? Senator Elefante.
Thank you, Mr. President. Request for a ruling on a conflict.
The conflict is,
On
or
page
potential conflict?
Potential conflict, yes. On page 33 of the order of the day, SSCR 3831, GM 721. I've personally known the nominee for over a decade and is a personal friend.
If, in fact, your vote helps confirm this individual, will you derive any personal financial benefit from that?
No.
No conflict.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Any further discussion? If not, do we have unanimous consent? Oh, Senator Aquino?
Thank you very much, Senate President. In support of GMs 528, 529, 531, and 658.
Please proceed.
Okay, my floor remarks are specifically for Governor's Message 529. Upon review and full consideration of Mr. Moniz's background, experience, and qualifications and testimonies provided, the Labor and Technology Committee found that the nominee is qualified for the position, which he is nominated and recommends to the Senate. Advise and consent to the nomination. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Further discussion? If not, do we have unanimous consent? Any reservations? Any no votes?
23 ayes.
Thank you. The nominees for said governor's messages have been confirmed. I will ask, is there any late introductions of any of the GMs that we just approved? Senator Kidani?
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support of the nominations of the Early Learning Board and Hawaii Teacher Standards Boards, and I would like to introduce some of the members if they are here in the gallery. GM 589, Ms. Salma Gandhi. If you're here, please stand. GM 590, Ms. Stephanie Shipton. GM 715, Ms. Joni Onishi. GM 716, Ms. Elaine Yamashita. GM 717, Ms. Alana Bauman. GM 718, Ms. Lindsay Heathcock. GM 720, Ms. Kawi Burgess. GM 721, Ms. Cheryl Kudiamat. And the following nominees to the Hawaii Teachers Standards Board: GM 522, Ms. Dale Matsuura. GM 523, Ms. Dondra Ozaki. I believe that's all. And colleagues, as with yesterday's nominees, I would ask that you support all of our nominees for these positions. Thank you.
What a big hand for them. Thank you. Do we have any other late introductions for GMs? Senator Aquino.
Okay, thank you very much, Senate President. In the gallery, we have the newest member of the Hawaii Labor Relations Board, Stacy Moniz. Please stand. He is joined by his wife, Bonnie, and his children, Raven and Kupono, who are not present but are watching online. In addition, joining him is HLRB Chair and former colleague, Marcus Oshiro. So please, everyone stand and welcome them to the Senate.
Do we have any late introductions of GMs? Senator Keoho Kalole?
Oh, Mr. President, I have a non-GM late introduction.
I think nobody else has stood up, so we can start on the non-GM late introductions.
Thank you. She came in during the introductions. As its conference committee now, I thought it was appropriate to introduce our former colleague and conference nemesis, the Lieutenant Governor, Sylvia Luke. Welcome.
Further late introduction, Senator Awa.
Mahalo Pelikikena. In the gallery, we have students coming from Kahuku High and Intermediate School's Hawaiian Language and History class, joined by Kumu Kaleolani Akim Hanohano and Miss Lori Chun. I'll read their names since we don't hear too many Polynesian names that often. Maxine Apelu, Mohan Ballesteros, Funga Featu Blanchard, Damian Kadena, Teara Campbell, Naomi Cannon, Kemi Castillo, and if you guys can stand when you hear your names. Ezekiel Demorini, Kahale Emsley, Evan Espiriti, Kawan Freitas, Emilia Freitas, Holiki Mafua Fuluvaka, Colton Honeycutt, Ocean Ingbino Ka'ai, Leo Johnson, Keahi Alaka Judd Au, Ezekiel Ka'aiali'i, Naimona Kamiko, Alika Kanahele, Aiko Keana Aina, Riley Kim, Mackenzie Kuba, Keaton Kurtz, Ofa Helotu Latu Vaki, whose first name means for the love of the church, Leilani Naka Ahiki, Josie Neal, Nico Nico, Kanoa Orr, Mele Pauni, Terilyn Pualoa Ueda, Gianna Purcell, Tasha Rodriguez, Livija Ryan, Shailin Silva, Tangiloto Tafuna, Mohelika Tafuna, Pikake Teri'i Paya, Eli Tolea Foa, and Solote Valiko Ula. Half of them are here and half of them in their house. Please welcome them to the Hawaii State Senate. And as usual, Senators, if you haven't put your signature on a ball every time the students come from our district, please see me and get this on before we're done, and we'll give this to you guys after. Mahalo.
Well, welcome the luckier half of the Kahuku students who get to be on the Senate instead of the House side. Madam Clerk?
On page 41, adoption of resolutions, Standing Committee Report numbers 3860 and 3861 for adoption.
Senator Wakai.
Mr. President, I move for the adoption of Standing Committee Reports numbers 3860 and 3861.
Senator Kanuha.
I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Any objections? If not, the motion is carried. Said resolutions have been adopted.
On page 42, final reading.
If there are no objections from the members, we'll be taking final reading on consent.
Final reading of Senate Bill 2958, House Draft 1, relating to statutory revision, amending or repealing various provisions of the Hawaii Revised Statutes or the Session Laws of Hawaii for the purposes of correcting errors and references, clarifying language, or deleting obsolete or unnecessary provisions.
Is there any discussion? If not, do we have unanimous consent? Any reservations? Any no votes?
23 ayes.
Thank you. SB 2958 HD1 passes final reading.
Referrals and re-referrals.
Referrals and re-referrals are made in accordance with the supplemental orders of the day that may be filed later today.
At the bottom of page 42, miscellaneous business, reconsideration of disagreement to House amendments and motion to agree. Senate Bill 3122, House Draft 2, relating to public health standing orders.
Senator San Buenaventura.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that Senate reconsider its previous action in disagreeing to the amendments made by the House to SB number 3122 and agree to said amendments.
Gosh, I lost my place on the, and agree. Senator Wakai.
Mr. President, I second that motion.
It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Senator San Buenaventura.
Thank you, Mr. President. The only amendment with the Senate version is the addition of a working group and a clean effective date.
And I want to thank you for introducing a measure with a much shorter title than the one Senator Rhodes introduced the other day. Any further discussion? If not, any objections? Hearing none, the motion is carried. One-day notice is hereby given for final reading of SB 3122 HD2.
No further business, Mr. President.
Are there any announcements today? Senator Kidani.
Thank you, Mr. President. Since our esteemed Lieutenant Governor is in the House, I'd like to make this announcement that she is presenting the second annual Food Drive Fest on the 4th floor on behalf of the Hawaii Food Bank. So please go up and see all the wonderful goodies that you can buy and donate to the Hawaii Food Bank. Aloha.
Thank you. Any further announcements? If not, Senator Wakai.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate stand adjourned until 11:30 a.m. tomorrow.
Senator Kanuha.
I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. If there are no objections from the members, the Senate will stand adjourned until 11:30 a.m. tomorrow.